the underwater sea picture, the animals, the things that you're looking from below, above to, are going to be black. That's why we're going to use our black paper. All right, so your ocean value picture is done, and now you're ready to move on to actually creating the animals. I have for you a bunch of different examples, all right, of ocean animals. Remember, okay, you draw them on the black paper. You're going to draw them first on the black paper. If you need to practice on a piece of sketch paper, you can do that. That's perfectly fine. But I've got all different ocean animals. Remember, they're going to be completely black because it's as if we're from below looking up. So I have individual ones as well. So step by step, but you're not going to draw any details. You're just doing the outline of them. So I've got all these different papers for us to use, okay? They're a guide. Doesn't mean you have to absolutely make it just like that. Again, it's just a guide. So I really like the sea turtle, so I'm definitely going to do a sea turtle. Now, when you're working on the black paper, pencil is going to show up. You need to first write your name and class code in the corner. This is just in case you do not get finished. So you're going to be able to see what I'm doing, because I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now, I'm drawing on here with pencil, and I want to draw all of my animals on this one sheet. So I don't want to draw one too big or one itty bitty too small, because we got to cut these out. So I'm going to draw, and again, it's kind of tough to see, all right, on here, but you will be able to see it when you're drawing on your black paper. It will be easy for you to see. Now, I've got my sea turtle there. Something that you can do if you're having difficulty seeing it, you can use a Sharpie and you can outline it. The reason we want to use a Sharpie and not a white color pencil or a white crayon is because we don't want this to stand out. We want it to really look like the silhouettes of the animals. So sometimes outlining it in black can help to actually be able to see what you're doing, okay? So you can see that sea turtle a little better when you are close up. You're going to fill the entire thing up with ocean animals, and it doesn't matter where they're at on the paper because we're going to eventually be cutting out. So I'm going to work on that now. Now that I've gotten all of that done, I'm going to get a pair of scissors and I'm going to very carefully cut these things out. If you're cutting out things that have skinny lines to them, like my lovely jellyfish here, okay, if I'm cutting this out and I accidentally cut the skinnier black tentacles off, it is okay because we can add those back in later with Sharpie or with paint. Now, something you need to remember when you're cutting, you have to go slowly. You must take your time, or talking to somebody, you can get yourself really distracted. So I did a pretty good job with that one, and I've got it cut out. When we go to glue these on, we're going to turn them upside down so we don't see any of those pencil marks or things like that. That will be left. So we're going to turn them the opposite way. So what you're going to do to make sure that we have our name on everything is as you cut each one out, you're just going to put your name on the front of it. So you're going to put your name on the front that you actually drew on. So I'm going to keep working on mine, and let's see how it goes. Remember to do a variety of sizes, so you want big fish and little fish. I've gotten all of mine cut out but one. So there's only one that I have not cut out. And I wanted you to be able to see how I'm doing the cutting, because some people think they have to cut and keep the paper in one big piece. Well, it's easier to cut smaller pieces off. It's also sometimes easier if your fish is curved to cut it a little differently. Like, it's going to be hard for me to actually turn these scissors and get them in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight across and cut this part out, and then I'll come back with my scissors and I'll cut what I can. If it's hard to turn it, then I'm going to cut just little pieces off at a time, and I pull my scissors out and I go different directions to get it to do what I want it to do. Little things like that aren't a big deal. If I can't pull it off, then I just take my scissors and cut it off. If you cut something off by accident, it's not a big deal. Remember, all your trash, all the itty bitty little pieces, you have got to pick up and get those in the trash can. That's really important, to get all those pieces in the trash can. Then you are ready to get a messy mat, a container glue just like we used before, a glue brush from the back counter, and you are going to start gluing all of these on. Now, you want to glue on the side that has the pencil marks. So, I've put mine down. I've got some glue, and I'm going to spread that glue all over the back of my sea animal, making sure that I get plenty of glue on it. Then, take it, and wherever I want it to go on my picture, I'm going to hold it down 10 seconds in my head. Then I move right on to the next one. You want to really think about getting the big ones on. You could even plan the whole thing out first by laying all of your sea creatures on the actual ocean value picture that we created. So you need to kind of have a plan. Notice I've got glue over the entire thing. I didn't leave a little spot where there's not glue. Yeah, you're gonna get it on your fingers. That's just part of it. So I'm gonna put this one over here and hold. It's a good idea to lay all of your sea animals out so you kind of have a plan, because you don't want to do something like this where all of your sea animals end up on one side of your paper. You want them to be spread out. And yes, they can go over the white. That's perfectly fine. So remember, it's like we're looking at them from the bottom looking up. So once you get that plan done, then you go back to gluing. So that's what you're doing with this project. When you're finished with this gluing part, it's sticky, so it needs to go on the drying rack. Then you make sure that you put the top on your glue. If you're the last one at the table to use it, you put away your messy mat, and you put your glue brush in the water cup beside the sink.